Today, we're going to be talking about our friend LinkedIn and how we can work around some of the exciting new changes that they've thrown our way. Again, it seems like every year LinkedIn does something fun to make some things challenging on us. I think this is a really exciting time. Anytime there's change, as much as it might set us back for a second, the quicker we adapt, the quicker we get ahead of the market. And what happens with a lot of people is they freeze and don't do anything. So if we can be early adopters of some of these new changes, I'll be sharing with you today. I think you'll pick up right where you left off. With any type of change, so there becomes a little bit of a learning curve that we have to go through in order to capitalize on that. Now, in general, I think the 100 invitations a week is challenging. But I think on the flip side, where the opportunity lies is it allows us to be more focused and targeted. And if you've been taking a really wide net approach with your LinkedIn outreach anyways, this is going to really prove and really focusing in on narrowing in on your ideal audience. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to share my screen. We'll keep this pretty active today on what the workarounds are. And I'm actually going to show you some of the things you can actually be doing to take advantage of this. All right, cool. So this whole thing started, I just wanted to kind of get a pulse on the market, what was happening, what people were thinking when it came to LinkedIn's decision. As you can see, there's several people that don't really like this decision. Some people think it's a great idea, but those of us that have been leveraging LinkedIn and using it for lead generation and things like that, obviously some of these changes can have an impact. Just to give you an idea of what other people's thoughts are on the situation, some people don't even know. Some people think it's a really dumb idea, and some people obviously don't like the idea of this invite limit. Without further ado, let's talk about our first workaround. So the first workaround has to do with groups, okay? And you can use this workaround no matter what kind of profile you have. But what you're going to want to do is kind of start in this work section here. And if you click on that, you'll actually be able to identify the groups you're in. So you'll just click on groups. If you haven't actively joined groups, then that's going to be your first call to action that you're going to want to do here. There's several groups that I'm a part of on here on LinkedIn, but just to kind of show you technically what this allows you to do. So you can go pick your group. Once you have the group, technically you can send a bulk invite connections. Now, I don't know that I would want to personally invite all these people. And again, it's probably going to hit on your connection account. But what this allows, your overall 100 to 150 limit that you're going to be hit with per week. But what you're really going to want to do is if you click on the see all with all these members of the group, you actually have the ability now to direct message these people, whether they're your connection or not. So you can see that these folks here are second degree connections. I can send them a message right away because we're connected in the group. So that's the first workaround. Start joining groups. Now, one thing I will say, just kind of a caution with this, is don't join the group and get accepted to the group and then start, hammering people right away. You might put yourself on the radar of the admin there. They're not going to like that. So join the group, let it kind of rest for a couple of days, and then you can start to reach out to people, second or third connections again, because you're in the same group. So I think that's a really cool workaround. So if you're doing sourcing, obviously finding groups that your candidates may be hanging out with. If you're doing BD, obviously finding groups that you think your prospective hiring decision makers would be, be a part of. Now, another step to this that you can do to help, find some things and target this is heading over to Sales Navigator. And when you're in Sales Navigator, what it allows you to do, and how many of you on here are actually actively using Sales Navigator? Some of the next things I'm going to show you are actually going to have a lot to do with Sales Navigator. So this allows us to basically create a more refined list of the group. So if I come down, one of the things that I can do in Sales Navigator, you have the filter of groups. So I can put in, let's see if something, I'm just going to put in recruiter. So if I go into recruiter.com network, okay, obviously there's not going to be 810 targeted prospects. So what I would likely do is come in and go, okay, well, let me focus on the region, focus on a relationship, and then focus on my key, position titles. We'll just put in recruiter for this. And, still, I would need to work to continue to filter this list down. But that's the cool thing of how you can kind of utilize the group function and Sales Navigator for targeting purposes, and then reach out to those folks and be able to send direct messages. So that's the first workaround that I've got for you guys. Is to utilize groups so that you can, again, continue to have and expand the conversations, right? What angle you decide to use, if you're going to try to reach out to people in groups and try to get them to join your network, it could be one approach. The other approach could be, directly getting into whatever you have to offer people. One of the things that I've found to be very ineffective is to just reach out and try to connect and sell somebody something. So make sure you've got a good little hook and a little offer to start a conversation with there. So that's the first workaround. The next workaround actually happens within Sales Navigator. So if you have a Sales Navigator account, this will be very relevant for you. If you don't have a Sales Navigator account, you may need to upgrade in order to utilize this feature. But one of the things that Sales Navigator allows that I just kind of become aware of is the ability to send in-mails to open profiles. So if you go to any profile that has this in member, this little LinkedIn mark on it, you can see that we're not connected. She's a second-degree connection. If I were to click on her profile, or actually just click over here and click message, right away, you can see that it's free. If you look down here, it's free to open profile. Okay, so I can, again, depending on what my approach is, depending on what my opportunity is, or what I'm going for, whether it's sourcing or if I'm using this to for BD, I can put in a nice subject line. I can ask them to connect with me. I can again share my offer. But the cool thing about this is I don't have to take any of my in-mail credits in order to actively be messaging people on a regular basis, right? And so I think that's huge because again, we don't want to be using our in-mail credits all day long. Obviously, another workaround is to use your in-mail credits. If you're using Sales Navigator, I believe you get 60 or so a month. It's not as much as if you were to have Recruiter, but everything I really want to focus on today is not having to use any type of an in-mail type of an approach. Okay, so those are kind of the two main workarounds to be able to continue to, one, try to expand your network outside of you having to reach out. You can try to poke people and get them to go view your profile and then send you a connection request. And then two, it's just, I think the biggest thing when you're looking at doing business development is making sure you have consistent messaging going on every single day, whether you're using automation, and there are ways that you can automate this, doing some direct manual outreach, but doing it like more routine based. For those that went to my workshop a couple weeks ago, which I'm going to do another one next week, know about the 3-step messaging routine that we use. And so those are the two, kind of traditional workarounds that I think will be really advantageous to you guys to be able to take advantage of. And like I said, pivot and take advantage of that right away. Now, I think you need to be willing to be test and be playful with kind of your messaging strategy there and what you think is going to be most effective and generate the response, meaning that, hey, going and reaching out and asking for new connections may not be the best approach. Maybe it will be. Again, if you've been a part of my classes and my courses, my saying is good marketers are good testers. So being willing to go out and try and fail is the best way to learn what's going to be the best system moving forward for you specifically, and every industry is a little bit different there. So being willing to test and try to, invite these people, and then being willing to test to kind of hook and start a conversation with these folks. Again, I think that'll also be based off of where you're at with your specific needs. Okay. Another workaround would be to kind of going back a step is taking the opportunity to create content to generate new connections. This is kind of your longer play type of a strategy. But the more that you can start to create content for a specific niche market, what will start to happen depending on and again, you got to give this type of thing time. But what starts to happen for me, at least, and what my clients see, is that you start to get a steady trickle of people that start to reach out to you because they want to see and follow more of your content. Okay. And that kind of brings up another kind of, wasn't on my list, but there is another workaround where you can start to follow a lot of people once you don't connect with them. The idea being there, you follow them, they follow you back. That's been a very common tactic on social media for years. I think that's probably one of the bigger things when I was doing Twitter and Instagram, while you're always following and following back. So as I continue to go through this, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat there. Happily answer anything for you. But going into the content strategy, what's important with that is, in order to build connections that are meaningful, because, hey, we can all get connections. We all get people that invite us in our inbox every single day. The key, at least in my opinion, with my LinkedIn network, is I want more of my target market in my audience, as much as of those folks that I can get every single day. Right. For me, it's looking at boutique agency owners, independent recruiting owners, staffing agencies. I want the small to medium sized company there. That's where I play. That's what I'm trying to build my network out with. So for you, your goal should be the same. So in order to do that, I'm consistently creating content and adding value to that market on a regular basis. Hosting trainings like this, creating video content, running those polls and things like that. And you'd actually be shocked at how quick you can start to build a very targeted network by serving that network with value. Okay. So those are the top 3 things that I'd recommend. One, again, leverage the heck out of the groups. So your first step of the groups is go and start adding new groups like right now, because it's going to take some time for approval. And trust me, I'm sure these groups are going to start getting inundated with requests now. 2, once the people actually join the group, wait a couple of days, and then start to reach out, test a couple strategies, whether it's going to be connect or throw an offer out there. The next thing you want to do is use the open in-mail profile. So leverage all those in-mail connections that you can that are free to folks. Again, testing the strategy of whatever's going to work based off of whatever your needs are. And the third one is to look at how you can create very specific content, add value to that marketplace to start getting organic people approaching you and reaching out. Now, the third connection, there's a bonus that I want to share with you as well. Okay. I think what LinkedIn, the changes that they make, and anytime these changes happen on the platform, really brings up the most important point. You have no control over LinkedIn. You have no control over Facebook. You have no control over the data. You really have no control over anything on the platform. We are in a free market that allows these companies to do whatever they want. And I believe in it. I believe these companies should be able to do whatever they want. This is their companies. They can do whatever they like. We can bitch and moan and complain all we want. It brings up the point that probably one of the most important things you need to be building, if you're not, is an email list. Okay. And there's really 2 ways to build an email list. And there's really one way to build an email list that's going to build conversations. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of data scraping tools out here. How many of you guys are using some sort of a data scraping tool like a seamless.io? Drop that in the comments. If you're using like Seamless, or if you're using, I know there's Hunter, there's Snovio, there's Interseller, there's another big one that I'm forgetting right now that's not Seamless, but those things are great because you can scrape the data and you now have control of somebody's email. You now have control of the data, and that's the huge thing, right? And this brings that issue to the forefront. You need to be collecting emails on a regular basis. Okay. Now, scraping is great because it allows us a lot of access to emails. What scraping also does, though, is really our approach is cold. It's spammy. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm saying you should do it. But the goal, even with a cold email strategy, is to find the people who are interested in carrying on the conversation. Okay. This is one of the things that we work in our program is we take our LinkedIn efforts, we take our cold email efforts, and we really want to bring somebody to a final destination, which is more of a, for lack of a better way to put it, like a newsletter style email. Now, I don't teach newsletter, but just so you guys can wrap your mind around where I'm heading with this. And those are the people that say, hey, Donnie, I don't have a need right now. Reach back out in Q3. Donnie, this is really great. Let's get on a call. Anybody, past clients, past candidates, prospects that are warm, they need to be on an email list. And that list is designed to build a relationship. It's not to transact, right? So when you're looking at drip email campaigns where you're going to scrape data from like the tools I mentioned, or going to buy data from Zoom Info, those are all fine and dandy, but those are typically a transactional approach. Where you're going to make most of your money in this industry is by building relationships with people through a very strategic list. And those lists can be small. I was talking with my buddy Mark on our mastermind meeting this morning. He has a list of about 100 people. He has a 50% open rate. And almost every time he sends out an email, he can get new work from it, because even though his list is small, he has a relationship with all those people on the list. And I think that's where the numbers game kind of gets thrown out askew is, you want to build wide numbers anywhere at the top of your funnel. But the further we get down, we want to be talking to a very small audience. Okay. So the bonus here is find a scraping tool that works for you, get data, get people off LinkedIn, and ultimately find a way to get people on a list that want to be part of your network, want to be a part of your community, and grow a very powerful community. Okay. When you do these things right, when you have an automated lead generation system that does that, the firepower is crazy. And kind of go into another story, I was catching up with an old client, Ed, yesterday. Ed's been through my program, I think about 4 years ago. He's one of the very first people to go through the Relevant Recruiter program. We caught up through Facebook here And Ed was sharing that he just had to stop his marketing campaign because he's getting too much. he's gotten too many job orders. He had to stop his marketing campaign 2/3 of the way through because he has too much business that he, to be able to even handle and deliver. And I know most of the people, especially those that are following me in this community, we're all about impact. We're all about driving, and doing the right thing for both our clients and candidates. So he had to stop it because he couldn't take on more work because he couldn't service his clients at the highest level he wanted to. How many of you would like that problem? What would your business be like if you're able to generate 5 to 10, consistent warm phone calls a month? In some cases, 10 to 20 warm phone calls a month that turn into 20 job orders. What would your business be like? How many of you guys would like a business like that? If that's something you're interested in, then we should definitely get on the phone and talk. Okay. And I know that there's some of my clients that are on this call right now. They can probably, if you guys are willing, drop some comments, in the comments of what your experience has been like implementing the relevant recruiter method, what type of results you've seen from having an automated lead generation system into your business. It's an amazing, powerful thing when you actually build out a system that works for you 24/7, 365. Okay. And you learn how to manage that system so it doesn't take all of your life. And no lie, there's a learning curve to learn how to do this thing. But I can tell you, once these things are set up and implemented, I have people reaching out to me on a regular basis telling me, Donnie, I've had to stop what I'm doing. What's up, Ed? He's on here. Stop what I'm doing because I'm getting so much traction from something like this. I know that you might be busy right now. Your business might be humming. You might be busier than you've ever been. Now is the time to put this system in place because we always know this market goes like this. We just saw it last year where it went like that big time. Okay. And I'll tell you what, there was plenty of people that were still surviving and thriving that had machines in place and systems in place for their lead generation. So what I'd like to offer you guys today is a free call. This call is not a sales call. It's a strategy call. You and I will get on the call. We'll talk about where you're at right now. We'll get a lot of clarity on, some of the things that you can be doing to build out an automated lead generation system. And yeah, if there's a fit and, we're jiving together and we're connecting, we'll talk about the program. We'll talk about how this program can work for you. But at the very least, take the time, take advantage of my time to get on a call with me and get clarity on where you're at with your business, where you need to go, and what you can do to build out an automated lead generation system. And one of the things that's great about this automated lead gen system, as you guys know, I stay in my lane. And I don't really talk about the recruiting side because I'm not an expert in recruiting, but almost every single one of my clients that implements the system becomes more efficient in their sourcing efforts as a result of what's going on. So Tim, thank you for that. Tim's been absolutely crushing it. And thank you, Ed. This is all amazing. So thank you guys for being here for today. Go to one last page I'm going to share. Go to donniegupton.com/book a call or drop call in the comments and I will reach out to you. If you're not comfortable with that, just head over to donniegupton.com/book a call. And when you get there, what you're going to see is this page. Okay. Got some testimonials for you to take a look at. You're going to apply for the free strategy session. There's going to be a very quick application for you to fill out. So I know exactly who I'm going to be able to get on the call with, what kind of details we're going to be go over. And then you're going to be redirected right to my calendar so you can pick a time that's convenient for you and your schedule. Look, if you don't have an automated lead generation system set up, this call is a no-brainer. We are absolutely beyond just all the fun technical things that we have going on. We're changing people's lives. We're changing the way people do business. There's so many people that go through this program that are fired up because they're not doing the same thing that's been taught in this industry for years and years and years. We're doing new things. We're doing fresh things. And the most important things, these things work. And this is where the market's heading. We're ahead of the curve. We're not behind the curve. We're not teaching things that were taught in 1990. We're teaching things that are taught in 2021. And we're looking for things already that are going to be trendy for 2022. So if that's you, drop call in the comments below or go to donniegupton.com/book a call. If you don't have that lead generation system in place and you want warm phone calls, book that call. This is Donnie Gupton. I'm out. Talk to you guys soon.